see a few things that are similar to Soniqs' game plan, but now you have access to an entirely different and new player that has a different set of skills, right? He wants to play things a certain way. So we could still see some things moved around a little bit for what we're used to seeing for these operator lineups. For Team Liquid, though, they're going to start us out on the offensive side with these bans. We're getting rid of Flores. Always love a good Flores ban. He's just so useful when it comes to getting rid of utility.
Not only that, too, but specifically on these maps, we have a boatload of like very interior rooms that you have to clear utility on, where you're not going to have access to like a window or otherwise repelled angle that you could easily use to knock out some of that utility by chucking a nade in from the exterior, something like that. That's where he comes in hugely, and this is one of those maps, unfortunately, where you do have quite a few of those rooms, so he is quite often banned out here. Ying was very prevalent specifically for Team Liquid in the last map, so she's going to get banned out here because she also has quite a bit of play specifically on this map. Soniqs just echoing the ban from map number 1 there as well. With Solus, probably going to see that be a constant thing throughout a lot of our matches here, at least early on in the tournament. And then Liquid has the final ban.
Azami? Nope, it's going to be Malusi. Okay.
Defender bans are exactly the same.
Yeah, defender bans are just going to continue to go back and forth for probably like a list of 4 ops. It'll probably be like Solus, Malusi, Azami, and Mira. We'll probably have a couple of other things work their way in. Like if somebody bans like a Thatcher, then Kaid will probably get banned out. You know, the usual respect bans. But I mean, there's just so many volatile operators right now on defense that it's like, all right, pick your poison. Like, what don't you want to play against? Because you're going to have to play against something that you don't necessarily like.
All right, well, it's going to be a master hold upstairs first for our initial defenders, which in this case is going to be Team Liquid. Soniqs are on the attack yet again, but they're not going to be too fearful of that, I imagine, given the performance they just gave us on Villa. Curious to see if it's going to be as strong, if potentially stronger here on map number 2, as of course this is their own map pick. We just saw Team Liquid's pick over on Villa go very handily into the Soniqs corner just a few moments prior, so now they're looking for the 2-0 shutdown.
Oh, very cool. Liquid's going to be playing downstairs with these mirror windows. They do have to worry a little bit about some of the cross sections that you have to deal with from the bar hallway downstairs there, but could definitely be a beneficial position for Liquid going into this. It's going to force Soniqs to try and bunker bust 2 different locations. Obviously, they could still go direct, and they found quite a bit of success at doing so on the last map, but Chalet plays a little bit differently, and honestly, it's more beneficial to the offensive side of the coin than anything. So we could also see them just take their time, try and dice up this defense from Liquid and hold some of those extremely strong angles that we're used to seeing on this map.
Starting his run here, kind of a different operator role this time to what we were seeing previously. He's going to come on the Nomad instead, pull off a flank watch role this time. That does make sense considering, especially as you heard in that little interview with him, though, he is taking on a flex role, so we can expect that to happen quite a few times. I would imagine specifically on the attacking side more than anything, as this is a bit of a trickier map to deploy into here. And the rest of the team definitely trying to prioritize on that upstairs control first, and still a little bit of setting up apparently going on for Nesk here. Missed the opportunity, but that mirror window is still going to be in the way. Nesk, of course, with all the intel to play out from that window now.
Nice little setup here on the main window for Master as well for Citizen. Soniqs have wrapped themselves around the top floor here, busting open all of these windows, and this is where it becomes problematic for the defense. You can see all of the different angles that specifically Lagonis has to try and deal with here. You have the bathroom player. If you back up too far, Citizen will shoot you from the master window, and then you're also going to have pressure from the Soniqs across the board in other locations as well. Palu doing his best to try and get this open, looking for any Claymore lasers, doesn't find anything. He's going to wait for the comm to see if anybody's on these windows so he can try and take the gunfight. Hops out, some serious damage onto Gunner, but it's not going to be enough to actually down him.
Citizen is taking a small amount of heat from a separate fight there. He'll lose about a sliver, about a quarter of his overall HP. Turn movement has gone in. Rex spotting out at least one player. Ask and Gunnar trading blows against completely separate players as well. Finally brings us down to the 40. Oh, Rexon with the slam and headshot against Nest just steals control of the office away. Important to note, though, look like Case is actually down right now for the Soniqs. They do need to find a way to pick that back up and quickly, as they have interior site control, but no way to move the objective forward currently. Ask as well, still with full control of the top Solarium stairs, which is going to continue to hold back any more aggressive play from the rest of the Soniqs.
Yeah, Liquid definitely worse for wear here. Still capable. Still have some nitro cells as well as an impact to be able to try and thwart this game plan, but the nitro's gone. Reset's very low HP. They know exactly where he is, and he's reeling right now, just trying to find an angle that could possibly try and help him. Rexon's going to take down Resets. Ask will at least be able to get one from that situation, but now he has an angle that's over the top of him inside of Solarium. That's actually going to be Citizen with that AK, who's sitting there waiting for him to try and rotate out of the stairwell. They have a pretty successful spot to try and go for this plant as well, but they don't have a nitro cell. They're going to have to try and do this with impacts via Palu, and then try and take some angles through that verticality. Looks like they might just try and go for a rotation here as well. Pick and choose as you will, but it's going to be try and find a pin inside of a lot of hay. Doesn't really work out for him. And now for Liquid, they're going to have to try and get back on this top floor and try and recruit from this plant.
Soniqs definitely losing a little bit of momentum there due to the earlier downing of Geo, and the case that was lost with that ended up going down for those who didn't catch it there, just over by the offer, rather the bedroom and solarium doorway. What was causing so much delay, of course, is Ask at a direct angle to contend against anyone who would have gone for the pickup on that. Soniqs, of course, now working their way past that obstacle and putting it into a 3v2 post plant. It's up to Palu and Ask here to retake the game, to retake this round as well. Not going too swimmingly, unfortunately. Grixer as well as Rex quickly shut things out, and the Soniqs claim the opening round.
Absolutely ridiculous. And Rexon's talking about shooting Nesk in the face, in case you guys were wondering what he was talking about. He was talking about how he just sprinted into office and shot Nesk immediately. Like this. Look. Yeah, you know, France has something for that. It's called the guillotine. Decapitation is what we call that right there. That was ridiculous from him. Very well done from Rexon, as the Soniqs once again starting things off extremely strong up against Liquid here on Chalet. This offensive side is where we're going to see Soniqs probably taking the majority of their rounds, but I mean, if they deal enough of a death blow to the ego of Liquid, they might just take this pretty cleanly. You know, if we're talking like a 5-1 split on offense, that's going to be pretty difficult for Liquid to try and work back from.
We already saw how well Citizen can deploy himself into those like extended roaming hard points too, and there's so many of those.
Oh yeah.
Like the one outside the library and beyond that as well. We can talk about them all day long here, but that's the most obvious one, and we're almost certainly going to see Citizen play into those positions and almost certainly see him be effective from those positions when we get on the defensive side, so expect that to be a lot of the prowess for Soniqs' defense when that time comes in about 5 rounds.
Yeah, when it comes to maps like Chalet where the offense has an inherent advantage, there's 2 options on defense. You either play a crap load of utility or you get pretty aggressive and try and get some important kills early on inside of the round. And so far, the Soniqs have done very, very good at quite a bit of that. Liquid, not so much. The last map, obviously, a little bit different when it comes to Villa and strategy, but for this one, they're just getting picked to pieces, not really stepping up to the plate and going for these swings. The Soniqs are able to capitalize on quite a few of their different plays that they've had going on so far just through that first round. They're going to try and go for things yet again here. It's going to be on the library side here, and the coordination working out quite swimmingly for Soniqs. You can see how easily things are going on that library balcony as they begin opening up the garage down low as well. Soniqs looking so very good for this first best of 3 here at SI.
Getting a bit deeper into this round now.
Perfect. Oh my God.
Man, the Soniqs continue to surprise with the amount of aggression they successfully bring out. Palu and Nesk both down again inside of the first minute of the round. And again, the Soniqs just set up for success over these next 2 minutes.
That was absolutely perfect. If you have to tell anybody, if anybody needs to show their friends how you clear library,
that's it.
You just show them that clip right there. That's all you do. You play the window, you throw the stun over, and you have your player hop in double. That's it. That's all you need. As long as you have somebody else able to manage that library balcony just for a split second so Rexon can cross across and get away from that angle, you're more than likely going to be successful. Unless, I mean, you are Rexon, then you just kill them both yourself. I mean, come on. Soniqs looking to try and get their second round here. In Liquid, I would say worse for wear, but they're looking like a shell of their former selves right now.
Well, let's see if they could potentially bring themselves out of that shell, either on this round or a deeper one. So far, though, it looks like the Soniqs are, like we said at the end of the first map, to make a statement, and a statement they are making here. 2 rounds in a row against one of the best rosters, not only in Latin America, but in my opinion, one of the best rosters in the world.
Liquid discombobulated, flustered after these first 2 rounds. I mean, you can see why. It's not that they're not doing the things that they know work. It's that it's simply not working. The Soniqs are there every single time to cross the T's and dot the I's and take the round. Liquid have not a single thing inside of their handbasket to assist them at the current moment. And in fact, after that last round, I'm really surprised that we already haven't seen a Liquid timeout, because these defenses are going to matter quite a bit. It seems like they want to try and go for a full site rotation, but they're not even going to use that to their their own benefit either, John. They were main stairs first, went garage second, and then back up to the top master yet again here to see what they can get done. Is it going to be Soniqs 3-0? What do you think?
Well, if it is 3-0, which personally, yes, I do think it'll go 3-0 on this round. I think that's when we're going to see the pause from the members of Team Liquid. This one I think is around is like, okay, they made some mistakes on this attack back in round number 1, so I think Liquid is thinking they can maybe make some smaller adjustments here, fix it. If that doesn't happen, that's probably when the pause is going to come in. It's like, okay, now we need the coach's help because we are lost.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the strategy, you can see how much different it is from Team Liquid's first defense on this top floor.
They've got an idea of how to counter this one, it seems.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think it's even past that. I think it's Liquid recognizing that it's now or never for the Soniqs. Yeah. Remember, this is round robin in a single best of 3, so this is the only time that they get to play the Soniqs. If they don't beat the Soniqs here, the Soniqs have beaten them for the entire group stage. So, and Soniqs no longer have to worry about it until they get to main stage, where they could potentially, obviously, play Liquid in the semis. So, past that though, Soniqs definitely at the helm of this one and taking their time. I mean, they've looked so solid as an entire unit here, and I cannot say that enough. I'm so very impressed with what we have seen throughout these first 2 maps here, and extremely excited for the entire group stage that we have.
Away from that, things will continue to evolve a little bit here for the Soniqs. They're going to take their time with this one, and good reason too. Liquid, like we said before, seems to have a pretty good idea in terms of how to counter out the strategy from the Soniqs that worked out previously. But it's all about whether they can follow it through in the execute itself. Continuing to see them take their own time with their drone game here, looking for potential pain points that they can abuse against Team Liquid, but not necessarily finding any of those early on just as of yet. Grixer, though, still forcing himself in, but does not realize the cross from Lagonis is there. He shuts him out instead, takes Grixer down, but a trade is found from Geo to keep us even at 4-all.
Love the call from the Soniqs and the play there from Grixer, but sadly, nobody else from the Soniqs exactly prepared for that. No one really hopping to and trying to assist him with that push. He was just on an island instead of office once he got there, and really wasn't, willing to risk too much with his movement either. Just kind of stayed stalwart until he was gunned down from Piano. And now with 1 minute and 20 seconds left, this has looked like Liquid's best chance of getting around thus far. Still plenty of map control across the board, especially over on the library side. Still have some people rotating around down low as well. But after that good shot there from Rexen, this might have opened the board up. Rexen, he's getting so much done. Palu can't win the fight. All he had to do was hit Rexen a singular time. But the Soniqs, they're getting it done. Rexen, like the Matrix, he's dodging every bullet that's sent at him until finally resets will cut him down to size. He's got the case at his disposal, but he has to try and hold it down in Solarium away from 2 deadly Soniqs members.
Let's see here if Resets can bring out his own hero moment after we saw one from the Soniqs a few moments ago. Unfortunately, not going to happen. The Soniqs just seem like they're unstoppable, at least here in their first match against Team Liquid. Like we were talking about before, the pause, we have to hope it's coming, and indeed, I do believe it is. Liquid finally calls for that tack timeout here as the Soniqs are running away with the lead so far on Chalet.
I mean, it better, because I don't think you could slap the smile off Rexen right now.
9-1.
Disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. He's literally pulling the exact same thing that we saw from Doki earlier in the day. I think Doki had 12 through 4 or 12 through 3, one of the two. Just ridiculous gameplay out of the individuals here today.
Very much the case. So immediately we're going to see the insight come in from Team Liquid's coach in terms of how they need to try and get into the way of this. What is going to be the way to try and win this one out? That is now the big question, Stokes. How do they come back from this where it just seems like Soniqs' attack refuses to die?
It's hard for me to say, Mr. Dr. Blue. My diagnosis is that Liquid is not really playing their own team game. We need to see them find it in and of themselves to play their own version of Siege, but at that high rate. We need to see them free-flowing, moving quickly, making those decisive moments, those decisions that we always see in those microsecond times that we want to see out of Liquid. We really need to see them try and get back on their own page and play their own game, just to that high level. If we can see them set a proper pace and actually play off of each other, I think that we have a heck of a game here. That's the biggest problem I've seen. Liquid has been picked off time and time again, not only from the individuals of Soniqs, but also by the overarching strategy that they're playing, the ISO plays, the different ways that they're using their drones to try and find out where some of these players are, the way that they're abusing site setups. That's a key thing. A lot of teams, at least in within recent history, we haven't seen really going for that poke and prod on site when it's still 5v5, right? That's something we've been seeing out of the Soniqs. They find that ISO'd anchor on site, and they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna dip in the door for 2 seconds, kill that guy, and leave. And and it's working. It is working so very swimmingly for them. So for Liquid, we'll see if they can try and switch up some gears. They want to go back downstairs here and see if they can benefit from that. It's going to be inside of Games and Bar. And this site, pretty finicky when it comes down to it, has a lot of library play involved. So what will the Soniqs say in their defense?
Let's find out. Because of course they're now locked in as well. Nothing really too surprising with regards to their operator lamp they brought to the table. Citizen, of course, going to be sneaky as ever. That's really been the trademark play from him throughout this game so far here. So he'll continue to deploy onto that Nook. First time I think we'll see him on inside of this specific map, though. You saw him bring it out a few times on the previous one. Away from that, though, of course, we've got plenty of utility coming out from Grixer there on the Lion and the usual execute utility that you would often find for this specific site here. Not necessarily the most respect going to be played to the downstairs hold here. Soniqs initially breach open Snowmobile, opening up a path not only for Citizen, but potentially a few other players to try and swing around against that, too. It's actually minimal pressure onto that library clear, where you normally are going to see the attacking team start out against this site play here. Now, however, we are starting to see the Soniqs start to loop over towards that, as well as other areas like Ego to try and take some more of that second floor control, which they eventually are going to need more than likely to get themselves into the site.
Well, minus the strategical points that we've seen here inside of the opening minute, not too much to say about this round. The Soniqs are going to work their way in. This is going to be our first beneficial gunfight. Citizen will knock down one, and once again, John, they poke and prod in the site, they find it's open, and they're going to go for a plant. Citizen has the most pivotal position in the entire building for this site, John. You can't kill this guy here. There's no verticality. They already have the reinforcement panel there, so unless he dies on a door peek or the Mira swing, this round's more than likely over. Oh my God, Team Liquid, decimated by the North Americans after coming runner-up in Jönköping. There's no way that they start off the 6th Invitational like this, but it looks like they will. The Soniqs, 4 rounds in a row, and not easy rounds. I mean, they are straight up bullying Liquid.
I am hoping, for Liquid's sake, more than anything at this point, this is just them having a rocky first series to start out the tournament. Travel woes, whatever it is, because at the moment, if this is the type of play that we can expect from the Soniqs against a fully loaded Team Liquid, that's very, very scary, in my opinion, for literally every other team in this tournament. Right?
Brother, look me in the eyes right now. Look at me when I say this, okay? This isn't Team Liquid playing bad. This is the Soniqs playing astronomically well, and the fact that no one knows what they're going to be fully doing because they just got Citizen. You can't go back to the Soniqs from Jönköping and be like, oh yeah, they're going to play the maps the same way. No, the hell they're not. Why would you? There's no point in doing it. You had a 3-month break. You picked up one of the best players in the world. Switch things up. It's working out so very well from them. You can see the amount of work that was put in from the staff here for the Soniqs as well, from Goddess as well as Joe Bro. I mean, it's just going so very well from them. I am honestly very, very impressed. And that's something that feels really good to say about the Soniqs, man. They've been at this for a very long time. Super has been at this for a very, very long time, trying to find a roster that could bring North America a chip that wasn't just SSG with Canadian or EG with Canadian, you know? Trying to find somebody else that can benefit here that, well, also happens to be TSM or something like that. So Soniqs could be the next up for North America. We'll just have to see. Maybe it just took us a Brit to get across the line.
Well, as you said before, too, the really impressive part about how well these strategies are working is it's not just dumb, blind luck on the aggression side of things. It may appear that way, but as Stokes has broken down a few times, this is super coordinated drone and other forms of intel play where they are waiting for the perfect moment. We jinxed it a bit there, to be fair, but yeah, finally it doesn't play out into their favor. But those types of plays, like we were just talking about, which normally fail in any other game, have been working tremendously well for the Soniqs inside of this series. Now we get to see how they adapt, though, and things start out a little bit more bumpy, as of course that entry will fall flat on its face this time.
It's actually perfect that happened, because that even plays more handedly into what we were talking about, because the last time that went so well, because the Soniqs had somebody on the corresponding window to throw a flash over. Rexon just took that straight up coin flip gunfight and lost it. That happens sometimes, man, whatever. Gunner's going to go down as well. It's a 3 versus 5 here. Soniqs more than likely just going to take some time out of this round to talk things out past just trying to get some of these big picks here. Round's not over, but definitely going to take their time and see if there's something they can do to try and get themselves back in it.
This is the other unfortunate side of the play style from the Soniqs right now, is if those opening entries don't go their way, it leads to a situation like this, where it's very tough for them to get back into the round, for them to make any form of effective play past that point, really just relying on individual gun skill to try and make something happen. But as you said, realistically, they're probably not expecting to win this one at this point.
Oh my.
Ooh. Back, trying to see if maybe one of their players gets lucky, and like you said, again, more than likely just focusing on the strat for the next round at this point.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to what the setup is downstairs for Liquid, you're more than likely not going to bunker bust that with what you have. You know, it's just going to be really, really hard fought. So, I mean, Geo's still trying to make the most of it, but with a minute remaining, as long as Liquid plays, you know, on their morals, make sure that they don't get too ahead of themselves and try and take these disjointed one-on-ones, and should be a round for Liquid here on Chalet, and one that they desperately need. Soniqs already at the split count that we're used to. 4 rounds for the offense. Anything past that is extremely beneficial. This is more than likely looking to be a 5-1, but Liquid definitely could have something to say about that. The only problem now is they don't have the basement site to do it.
Yeah, which site do you go to is the problem for Liquid now, moving on to the next round, because essentially every other site has been null and void in terms of their defensive prowess. You're only just now finding that success the very first round, just picked up by Team Liquid due to the early denial of the aggression from the Soniqs, as well as just a good follow-through on their basement play.
Rexon a pixel away from changing that round, by the way. He is a pixel off of Nesk's head right there. Incredible from both of these squads, and I mean, you got to give the benefit of the doubt to Liquid there. They are definitely in a hole, but they're still willing to fight, and that's what we were talking about previously to that round. It's not the fact that Liquid is playing poorly, it's the fact that the Soniqs are playing so well that is really just throwing a spanner in the works of Liquid. They really don't know how to process everything that's going on around them right now. Fortunately enough, they found some saving grace, a lifeline here in round 5, but round 6 would definitely sweeten the pot.
Let's see here now if the Soniqs can go for that pivotal 5-1 scoreline, basically setting themselves up for near success already, just with the 2 follow-up rounds needed out of the 6 overall in the second half to close things down and close out in this series in 2-0 fashion. It's the second place finisher from Jönköping. It's back upstairs, it looks like, here for one more go at it for the Team Liquid roster. Still going to see that downstairs dining room defense prepped up as well, supported by the mirrors, as well as more than likely a few of these electric claws from Ass to try and stem the tide, prevent the Soniqs from just flowing in as they have done on the 4 rounds they've already picked up for themselves. But they are out and about, spawned in yet again. Bringing a few different operators this time. Rexon feeling the full confidence. He's gone all the way over and onto the Twitch for this one as well, so he'll pick that one up. Obviously, again, we've seen those couple of nerfs come in on the Twitch recently, but still going to see a pretty proficient amount of play out of her. And he's actually got the carbine right now with the Twitch as well, so let's see what he can do with this.
Yeah, actually, everyone's gotten rid of the F2, John. The F2's dead and gone. Rip and chat for the F2, in case you guys didn't know what happened.
Still seeing the play with her, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, you get 3 drones, so, I mean, you better play her. I mean, come on. But yeah, the F2 lost its grip, folks, for those of you that just simply watch the game nowadays and don't get to play all of that often. Twitch, F2-wise, kind of dead and gone. I figure we'll still see it every once in a while. It's just that the recoil definitely is not that fun anymore. So people using the 417 just because it's an amazing DMR. DMR's got a buff some time ago, some solid damage on that gun, good ammo capacity, as well as the ability to create some pretty good soft destruction. So why the heck not? Twitch still a great op, and if the 417's a good gun, well, you might as well run it. So Nitrocell going to be out here for Ask, but very well met by a Harbana on Repel Geo.
I want to welcome everybody from the A stream as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very interesting series. Some would say a surprising one, but for the Soniqs fans, they're feeling very well-oriented right now as they're up 4-1 against Team Liquid here after just shutting down Team Liquid's own map pick back on the first one. Looking to try and win it 2-0, and with just 3 rounds needed to be able to do it. Gunnar tries to make a play from down below in the basement, but it is read like a book by Ask, immediately shuts him down and stops that play potential from evolving.
Well, minute and 10 seconds left for the Soniqs now. They've lost Gunner, so no sneaky things going on about the map any longer. Might have a potential issue here for Rexon as Palu is directly behind him coming up the stairwell. Going for the gunfight, but Palu will gun him down. No other positioning beneficial for the Soniqs, especially after Citizen goes down. It's going to be all left up to Grixer, who's downstairs inside of the kitchen. Ass is going to be on the receiving end of this push. He has very, very minimal HP as he is on Solarium, but can he hit this flick? No, it's going to be Grixer first. EE1D out. This would be probably one of the craziest rounds ever if I see him get this. 2 big kills out of Grixer here, and oh my goodness, almost a third as he pre-fires through the floor. That EE1D almost bagging that 3rd big kill that could have really opened the gates for him.
Crixer still trying to make this play work. Running out of time, though, and the Toxic Babe still standing in his way is the other big problem here. Finally, Palu gets the jump on him by swinging out from deeper in Solarium. Shuts down the round. Nice attempt at bringing the clutch down to a closer point, but just not realistic to be able to win that one out. So Liquid rebound a little bit here, at least. Bring it back to a palatable 2-4 scoreline at the end of the half. They've got some serious work to do right from the jump on the second half if they want to stay in this.
And the Soniqs are not letting off of that accelerator, immediately going to kitchen and dining room, not even defaulting out. No master play, no basement, straight to what they want most. And it looks like it's going to be quite the strategy as well. We've got some laser gates working their way in here, the Warden as well, on top of, well, the usual criminals that we see here. Azami definitely working her way in, whether it be via bans or just in the operator lineup. She's usually there, and then the Frost as well, which we see on any site that has to do with Windows. And this one most definitely does.
So let's see if it'll deploy as effectively for the Soniqs as we were seeing from Team Liquid. No direct trip-ups, of course, happening over the course of the half with it, but still slows things down quite a bit. It prevents those immediate window hop-ins from happening. We'll often see here, Crixer already deploying all three. Quite a few repicks ending up coming out for Liquid as well, just to make sure they are properly oriented for this site take. For the most part, it's just going to be people swapping around to different operators. You can see Lagonis and Ask switching out there. Putting the hard breach onto another one of their players, and then adding a second one behind Lagonis. Also, no huge surprises, though, when it comes to the overall lineup for Team Liquid.
Nope, not at all. All of the mainstay fraggers here nowadays, especially after Sledge got his little nerf, huh? Nobody really trying to use him as a hardcore entry, even though they will tend to take the gunfight still, just given the fact that, well, I mean, if you're playing the op, you still got to do something, right? But yeah, Ashe as well as things like Yana are definitely a heck of a lot higher on the importance list now, which is interesting for Ashe because she really hasn't had a buff. It's just been everybody else getting nerfed around her that has made her come back to such a prominent position.
Gunnar sets up a nice little one-way for himself on the top of the stairs. Probably not really a one-way by definition, but more so in the fact that his opponents probably aren't going to catch that one before he gets the shot off. So
it's a Rainbow Six one-way.
Yeah.
It's as close as we're going to get.
Closest you're going to get, realistically, in this game. So it'll work out for the definition.
Been working on my Mirage one-ways. Yeah. They're coming along.
Well, we've got Liquid trying to work on the floorboards here, see if they can knock out anyone from the Soniqs down below. It does appear Soniqs have completely vacated the area, so no surprises to be found waiting in the depths of that master bathroom right there, just holding into pretty straightforward anchor and extended positions here. Well, they wait to see where the first bit of real, actual player-focused aggression is going to come in from Team Liquid.
Yeah, and this is the waiting game for the Soniqs right now. Remember, Liquid really like using that opening minute and a half for drones and angle work from the majority of the outside of the building. Unless there's like a super easy room for them to get a hold of where they can do relatively the same thing, you're not really going to see them try and pressure all that much. They want to keep all of their utility up and abound to try and get some angles open or anything else of the sort to try and benefit their offensive assault. Already lost a handful of drones here, but nothing to really call back on. Still have 6 available to them, but this is where the problem's going to start bubbling to the surface. Gunnar will get one. Palu immediately refrag onto Geo, but Palu does not look down to his right. A very well-placed Frostmat will pick up one, but Nesk will take down Citizen. Somebody has to get resets. Nesk, he's on an absolute tear. 2 people are actually down by Frostmats. Nesk will finally go down. Palu's still down. Resets low HP. It's a 2 versus 2 here for the Soniqs.
Soniqs not necessarily realizing they had the opportunity to crunch in on this one, though. Palu going to get finished off regardless. Just Lagonis and Resets now. Resets no longer down for the count, of course, but soon is just going to be him in play. 1-to-1 exchange brings it down to a 1v1 outright. Resets has retrieved the case, but immediately Rexon has his angle when he tries to rotate through kitchen. Another one for the Soniqs up on the board, just 2 to go.
All of that droning for no recognition for a hatch and Rexon being upstairs. That's the key thing there for Liquid. Like, if you're going to do all of that heavy lifting in your info work to try and figure out where everybody is and what's going on with the site, you can't have little mistakes like that where it's simply, oh, it's a 1 versus 1. Yeah, I have no idea where that person's playing. No clue. So it's just very unfortunate there for Liquid. But Soniqs having the redundancy throughout the entire map, that was the key thing for me. The Frost mats really playing quite heavily into that. And just the positioning of those Frost mats. I know it's very nitpicky for me to point this out, but him simply putting those off to the side of the window instead of putting them directly under is what killed both of them.
Yeah, Palu did a double take.
Palu,
his POV.
He shot directly down, and that's why he messed up, because his right leg is the one that hit the Frost mat. And all you have to do, you have to breathe on it, John. If a pixel of your ankle hits a Frost mat, you are in the Frost mat. So it's just very smart play there.
The second he moved his crosshair back up again, he was like, ah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I didn't shoot it, did I?
He's like, oh wow,
I'm gonna die in half a second.
Is this the cause of my own actions? This is, oh no.
A real life freeze frame moment.
You're probably wondering how I got here. Yeah, that's literally what Polly was going through there for
First
a moment.
Took a flight.
Yeah, I took a flight from Brazil to Montreal to get my ass kicked by the Soniqs, apparently. So the Soniqs playing extremely well, looking to seal the deal here on round 8. And I mean, it would basically be a shot heard around the world if they were able to pick up both of these rounds back-to-back going forward, close this out 7-2, and just be like, hey, everyone's on notice now. The Soniqs are here to play.
Absolutely the case. It's going to be curious. It's going to be interesting to see how their second game goes more than anything, just because now they've been revealed. They've shown their hand, so to speak, in terms of the play style other teams can expect. So I would expect their next opponent to be a little bit more prepared as well for the kind of crazy shenanigans we've been seeing out of these direct entries from players like Grix or Citizen's own shenanigans that he's pulled out on quite a few rounds as well. We have seen Liquid adapt pretty well to this and start to counter it out a lot more directly, especially at the tail end of the first half on this map, where they're fending off the direct entry play. But now we've got Nesk catching at least one member of the Soniqs, but can't get a grasp on him. Citizen wins out another 1v1 and shuts out Nesk.
Well, he is going to take the fight up against Palu, but it would be quickly refrag the suppressed G36C, tagging him. I'll take him down, but a pretty beneficial kill. Nesk, especially on Yana, not only extremely scary, but that Yana clone, so beneficial to the offense. You can find so many positions from these defenders and practically unlimited uses, minus the cooldown. So Liquid now reeling a tidbit, as Palu will get that refrag, but he's right back outside the building. This is what we've seen from Liquid quite often. A minute 30, and now you're starting to see some play around the outskirts of the actual site, but this is exactly what we expect out of them. Palu might run into some trouble here. Doesn't look like we have anybody over in the library space, but we do have Grixer here on the blue stairwell. If he peeks out, has to take the fight up against Ask, or he might get pitched out by the top floor. Oh, they've got info now. And this is where the hot water ensues. Rexon, though, he's got it covered. Fantastic comms here from the Soniqs. They have got everything on lockdown. Liquid thinks it's so easy. Just walk in here and get themselves a Rexon, but obviously not the case. But for Ask, it might be. Gunner, downrange, gets taken out by a singular shot out of that EBR.
Smooth shot from Ask as well. There, just locks in onto it. No hesitation, immediately pops off the head of one of the players on the Soniqs, evens us back out. This is a relatively calm battlefield for how little time we have left on the clock, but I'm very quickly going to make mincemeat of those words here. Flashbangs prompt the entry to work themselves in from Solarium's side and partially into the master bathroom as well, but they don't have the intel confidence to move forward yet. They don't seem to have the drone play to try and push this one forward. We're going to try to play it off their hard breach instead. The patient play is working, but now out comes Geo, finds at least one, tries to go swinging into the other two. Way too long range with the shotgun in hand. Everything falls to Grixer here now with the plant starting to go down onto it. Is he ready to try and counter this back out? Does he read the Solarium player? He does! Gets one on the ground as well, but can't get the planter. He'll finish it off and Liquid stay alive.
You have to feel for Grixer there. Didn't know exactly where that plant was going to be going down, but we have that ability to look through walls, so he probably will never know until he goes back in this game just how close he was to being able to just pick off that case and win the round for them. Very well done from Liquid, staving off map point and match point here. Able to stay alive on that offense, but Soniqs definitely making things quite difficult. I really do appreciate, though, how Liquid went for the initial play that we saw more, downstairs, clearing out the roamers around kitchen and things along those lines over in, like, the dining area, and then immediately circumnavigating back over to library and trying to set things up all over again, get that crunch over on the library stairwell, and start breaking down the Soniqs play from a different perspective. It was very, very well met, and now Liquid able to at least lose one more round without losing the map.
Into the basement here now after a teeter-totter start to the half, going 1-1 for both teams here. No clear winner has been presented just yet as of the first 2 rounds that have played out. But this could be the one that starts to define it here, especially if the Soniqs come back in with a statement to set up their 6th out of 7 rounds. They need to close out this game. Quite a few repicks there once again for Team Liquid as well. Not going to lead to any crazy picks. We're going to see the Dokkaebi come back into play for Ask. We've already seen that in quite a few previous rounds. Palu, of course, going over to the Buck is the only real outlier here currently.
Yes, indeed. Can have the Dokkaebi working her way back in. This thing has been pretty strong for Liquid so far here, using that to be able to clear out some of these hard-to-reach positions from the Soniqs, get that info game going, just make it a little bit easier on themselves. Grixer's going to be the one downstairs in kitchen, and wouldn't you know it, it's going to be a good old-fashioned bandit trick here on the garage panels. And Liquid, I don't think have an answer to this at all. The only thing they could potentially do is try and pitch in a couple of Nesk's frag grenades through that drone hole, but that would also more than likely require a little bit of burn, as Rexon's ADSs are probably placed around there as well. So Liquid quickly recognizing, hey, we can't try and take from the garage side. We're going to have to try and rotate around to big garage and go via trench.
Phone call has gone out to allow Nesk and more likely one or two other players in the squad to clear things out here on the second floor and begin the process of working their way down that Stokes was just mentioning a few moments prior. You can see it once again on the inside of the dining room as well. Citizen as well as Grixer still holding this position, as of course they also realize that Liquid were going to have to rotate into a top-down clear eventually, so they want to get in the way of that in the most proactive fashion possible, and it seems to be setting up on the inside of the kitchen is how they've chosen to do that.
Team Liquid, how far can you think forward? Soniqs? Yes. That's how far
there
forward.
We go.
Exactly. That's how far forward we can think. We can think pretty damn far forward, and now able to at least break things down into a 4 versus 4.
Yeah. Big point here is that Liquid has slowly been catching on to the shenanigans being presented by the Soniqs, but they never really truly been able to get ahead of it, has become the issue, as we just saw there with Grixer picking up another kill. Once again, tying it up. Palu finds the trade, very much so on to Grixer as well here. So it goes back to my point here about how the Liquid seems to be able to contain the situation. They just can't seem to predict it in advance is their main problem now. Cam Hack coming up here as well. We'll see if that presents anything for our attackers on the inside of the building. Shouldn't really give away too much here as you don't have any cam-based operators. Those defaults should be long gone by this point, but we have bulletproofs indeed that our attackers are still going to be able to see quite a bit from. Not giving over the most amount of intel in terms of what's going on the inside of Wine, though, is going to be the big issue from that, though.
Was that a bulletproof above the door for Blue?
I think it was, yeah.
How the hell did they get that thing up there? What? I know they got the other one, but my gosh, that is crazy. And, well, luckily enough, that didn't really take too much communication, did it? Liquid just try and force it immediately into Wine, and wouldn't you know it, since nobody is trying to deal with the garage panels or anything over in garage, all 3 players are focused on Wine. Kind of weird how that works.
Pretty much the case. No presence coming down main stairs or anything like that either. And while, yes, like I was talking about before, Liquid does counter out the aggression that's coming out from the kind of star roaming players right now, like Grixer, and of course what we were seeing from Citizen as well. It's always happening after the fact, and that's the big problem here, is they're always kind of chasing their own tail, trying to catch up to things while still also worrying about their own execute. Soniqs, as a result of that, now up on map and match point here to try and shut this one down 2-0.
This is not something that you can say all that often, and definitely not something that walking into today I thought that I was going to be saying so early on for the Soniqs, but they've basically outskilled Liquid. They have more gunfight potential than Liquid does. And that's not something, again, that you get to say all that often, but it's true. I mean, just look at the 2 boards. Look at how Soniqs is playing this map. And, I mean, even past that, all of the benefit that they're getting out of all of these roamers and everything else in between, right? Especially from, like, Citizen and Grixer. But then you get down to the side play like we got in the last round, and then you still have Rexon, who's 13-5 right now after he picked up another 2 kills the last round. It just seems like no matter what well Liquid goes to, it's dry.
Let's see if they can find a bit of an oasis here, as now they need 3 rounds back to back to back, a feat that they have yet to accomplish on the inside of this series. Most they've picked up consecutively has been 2 so far, so they're going to bring a gargantuan feat to the forefront, and arguably the worst position they have been at so far in this series now. So this is going to be, like you said, a big ask from Team Liquid to try and bring this back from the brink. Soniqs are sitting nice and cozy, I would imagine, right now in their current position here, trying to close down one final round, I believe over in Kitchen as things currently stand.
Yeah, Soniqs doing their best chuckle all the way to the bank with this. Liquid gonna try and keep things at least somewhat relative to what their overall strategy has been for these rounds so far on offense. A slow rolling move here, trying to get the Selmas up on the window. I didn't think it was muted out or anything, obviously, since we don't have access to any of that. So it looks like the first one ended up just going to the side, sadly. And they will eventually get the window open, though. G is going to take some heat, been via a drone hole or something of the sort, but either way, Gunner's actually going to be the first person to get a kill, and it's going to be on to Nesk, somebody that we really needed to see step up inside of this round.
Gunner here, setting up that bit of an awkward zombie barricade as well, making it difficult for Ass to swing around to this one. Citizen with the cutoff just when the pressure comes in as well. Team coordination at the forefront of the play yet again from the Soniqs, and paying off in huge dividends, this time preventing the trades outright. Still all 5 alive right now for the Soniqs, and Lagonis being forced outside of the building to try and reposition, I believe, towards Trophy for a last-ditched attempt to work their way in.
Ask even saw the bullets coming out from Citizen on the cross, and he still chose to try and get up the stairwell. That entire strategy was set up for Soniqs to be able to benefit each other inside of that main hallway, and it works out so very swimmingly. Now Liquid, they have to try and get not only 2 kills, but a plant down, and a minute remaining here. Palu, as well as Lagonis, 2 of the top frags right now, but now Lagonis dead and gone via the angles upstairs that Grixer has through the floorboards. It looks like this might be all she wrote. Some big kills here, and it's going to be the collapse for Palu, actually, as he'll open things up. And somehow, some way, Soniqs have botched this to a point where in a 1 versus 2, and Gunner does not have the power position. 40 seconds remaining. He's been tagged by the DMR. These things do so much damage nowadays, and it's going to make it so easy for Palu to take him out. What a round that the Soniqs went back.
Huge comeback there from Team Liquid as well. A massive steal with the player pushing into Slayer, just getting away with a double kill Colat, and 2 more players falling down directly after that as well. Huge mistake, and we're going to see it here. It was Palu picking up that double. Of course, you can see Resets finding a 3rd kill elsewhere also. Beautifully done there, and a massive mistake from the Soniqs to allow that push to go through.
I mean, Soniqs had everything going in their direction, everything going in their favor, and yet still not able to get it done. And that's why every time that we talk about Liquid, we always talk about these mainstay players, because you never know what's going to happen when they're alive. Sometimes Palu all of a sudden kills 2 people, Resets gets a frag, and now Liquid have a round that was a 2 versus 4, 2 versus 5. Just absolutely disgusting stuff. And you can see there's still that fight in Liquid. They want this game, but can Soniqs push them that much closer into the graveyard? We'll have to see. Liquid already has 1 foot in. Soniqs just needs to give them a proper push.
Definitely an important point there is that last round, really only a singular black mark we have so far for this team on a very clean sheet of otherwise clean paper here. The members of Team Liquid, though, that last round has very much rebounded them. He said, giving them the confidence to fight for at least 1 more round. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough to bring them back from the brink entirely and give us that full 3-peat that they need to trigger overtime here, potentially a 3rd map along with that, if they can go the full distance. Soniqs, of course, out and about yet again. I believe they are going to reattempt the same exact site. Does look like it here, as they'll call that last second play from Team Liquid a bit of a fluke. Let's see if they can quickly correct upon that one to still shut things down here, 7-4.
Yep, it's at the Soniqs' fingertips. It's tantalizing, well within their reach. We'll see if Liquid can try and thwart that game plan. So we have switched things up, obviously. It's going to be a kitchen defense here. Some strategy going on the top floor, but that's exactly what you would expect. I have a panel missing out of one of the office walls here, but that's more than likely just for crosses, either playing out or in, depending on where the Soniqs members will be at the time of arrival from Liquid, which looks to be not too far off. I do believe we have a Gun 6 in the secondary pocket of Reset, so yes, he's looking to do what we saw, I believe, from Rexen earlier on. Is either him or Grixer that did something of the sort when it came to this strategy, and he's going to work his way in, but he's not going to stop at the door. Oh no, he's going to propel himself forward. Piano will actually be the home to the gunfight. Nesk will take down 1. Rexen fires back, and oh my gosh, a swath of trades back and forth, including a Claymore from Palu, as it'll be a 3 versus 3 going into a minute and 50.
Neither team getting a huge advantage out of that one. As you can see, Sonic still has some upstairs control to play with as well, so Liquid not even getting that piece that they really wanted to try and attain from the trades. Because of the fact that Sonic still had a bit of upstairs presence, you arguably could say that they're in the winning position from that previous fight here, but we have to see how the next 30 or 40 seconds to go to really get a much better judge of how that is all going to follow through into the execute itself here. Geo, as well as Citizen, now positioned downstairs. Rex in the lone hold upstairs, looking to try and prevent disaster if Team Liquid can set up and collapse upon the other 2 teammates here. It's actually looking like Geo may rotate into assist with this one as well, but great rotation, more importantly, great patience from Liquid. They catch Rexen right next to a soft barricade there and are able to take him down as a result of it.
Yeah, Paulu's been on that angle for an entire minute, just waiting for somebody to try and rotate up the stairwell, but sometimes that's what it takes in Siege. You know, you let the defense sit there and kind of rest on their thoughts, rest on their minds, and potentially someone might try and go for a rotation and try and get in behind the offense that could be doing something, but as we saw, Liquid was just waiting for that to happen. Gio's going to take a lot of hits, but oh my, Gio walks him right into the corner and takes him down via the Nitro cell. Lugonis will pick up Citizen, and now it's down to the clutch for Gio. Can he get it done with the SMG-11? Such low HP walking into the situation as well. Palu, aware that he could potentially come from down low. Oh, Palu's going to get down via a frost mat over in the corner. Lugonis, he has to win this. Big problems. Oh my, low HP for both of them. A singular shot back and forth. It's going to be the shot heard around the group stage for Soniqs if they can get it done, and Gio will. He seals the deal for the Soniqs. 2-0 up against a runner-up from Jönköping.
We talked about the potential clutch factor that was going to be coming out from this new roster, and specifically from Gio as well, and he brings it out just when it's needed. In the very last round of the game, it's Soniqs' victory, 7-4 on the map, 2-0 on the series against the second-place finisher from the last major. That's a statement and a half right there being made with just one player swap. The Soniqs are looking better than ever, and very much so, at least for me, are looking like potential contenders for the Hammer if they can continue that performance throughout the rest of this group stage.
I mean, wow. Just so very impressed by what the Soniqs were capable of inside of this best of 3 up against Liquid. I mean, Liquid passed everything, right? They still played their game. It's just that the Soniqs were better here today. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and try and get this figured out. I mean, past that, just that last round, I know every single person on that board was like, the goddamn frost mat. Why did it have to be a frost mat? Just randomly in a corner that takes out one of your players in a 1 versus 2. Lugonis doesn't have a chance to try and pick up a player in a situation like that. Has to try and get it done himself. And Gio once again showing his prowess when it comes to those clutch moments.
Not the only time we ended up seeing that happen as well. There was a previous round where 2 different players from Liquid had gone down to frost mats. Just seems like things were overwhelming this team, and they need to go back to the drawing board, recenter themselves, go for a nice reset to focus up on the next game. They unfortunately weren't that well put together compared to the Soniqs. That'll do it for myself and Stokes on this. We'll go back a little bit later on in the day. We're going to go to a break right now, and soon we'll have your analysis desk ready to break this one down.